My name is Arin Lindauer, and you're listening to A Life Without Struggle. I'm a wife, a mother of 2 wonderful children, a 2-time best-selling author, and a highly driven and successful entrepreneur. In my 17-plus year career as a mindset and health expert, I know what holds women back from a life you only dream about. Whether you're a CEO, a businesswoman, or executive, I started this podcast because I have been where you are, and I know you want and deserve more out of your life. I believe women are limitless. We just get lost along the way. The process to get you there is the topic and purpose of this podcast. When you understand what you want, you can truly step into a life without struggle. Welcome, and I'm so thankful you're here. Welcome back to another episode of Life Without Struggle. My name is Arin Lindauer, and today we're going to dig into a topic around we make it way harder than we should. And you may be saying, what are you talking about? And I'm going to take this multiple different directions. I want to, share some personal insight. Anytime I put these topics together, please trust that I've worked through this stuff too. Maybe not in this current time and space, but this one is one that has just really been hitting home for me, especially when I coach my clients, when I coach myself, when I listen to myself and understand just the different array of emotions and just all the different things that we navigate. And so I want to speak into this topic about we make it harder than we should, especially when it comes to weight loss. But I really want to speak into just life, business, kids, career. Like, we make stuff so freaking hard when it's just a matter of we probably don't understand everything inside and out. And some things you're just not going to. So just to take you into this topic here today, this has been something that's really been hitting home for me, really trying to stay in control of my state. Still take care of my body despite being uber stressed. As a lot of you guys have heard a lot of my different stories, this week probably ranks up there with some of the more stressful weeks that we have encountered. And I want to just share, hey, this is how you can work through this stuff and still stay on point. And here's the deal. I am never going to profess to being perfect. I am far from perfect. But any of this stuff I bring to you because it's hit home for me. I've experienced it myself. Here's how I maybe navigated it. Here's how I wish I would have navigated it. But I want to dig into, we don't have to make weight loss hard. We don't have to make business hard. We don't have to make our relationship hard. But a lot of times, it's really what we don't know. See, this past week, we've been going through just the ups and downs of making a really big decision that's really going to change the trajectory of our lives. And part of me is super excited. And then there's another side that's just like, holy moly, I just let a ton of people down. And what I'm getting at is we have run a brick and mortar gym where we do small group personal training, one-on-one personal training, and we decided to sell the building. And so that side of our business is going to come to an end on July 12th. And so we had to share with a lot of clients just that, hey, we're no longer going to be operating in this capacity, and we're going to focus all of our efforts 100% online in our online coaching. And then we are super excited to be going into the short-term real estate that we're going to put a health and wellness spin where you'll have access to good nutrition, be able to still do your workouts, have hot and cold therapies while you're on vacation at really fun locations. So we're really excited to move into that direction, along with we want to offer very high-end retreats where we want to work with high-performing professionals and couples who really want to go to the next level in their life, their marriages, and their careers, and of course with a health and wellness spin, but a lot of the mental programming that goes along with it. So while it's exciting on one side, I'm excited to grow and go in a totally different direction. It's very devastating and upsetting to a lot of people that we have served for a really long time. And it's been exhausting for my husband and I. First off, we are running the whole ship by ourselves, and we've always had a team of like 7, 9 employees. And so it's been a struggle. It's been a really, really challenging time post the pandemic and just the volume of clients that we lost during that time. And so it just didn't make financial sense to continue to operate that business when we serve and impact so many online and can continue to do so. And with the sale of the real estate, it really helps us move forward from the financial side of things and removing a lot of debt, which is just going to allow us to breathe and just feel a lot better. And so, where you make these decisions and it impacts people, it's really challenging because we had people who were just crying. We had people who just got mad, wouldn't talk to me. We've had people that just didn't come back. We've had people who are asking for solutions and we don't have one. There isn't another place like us. Sure, there's other places you can go and work out, but it's not going to be the same thing that we do, and we understand that. And so this has been very, very challenging for people who didn't ask for disruption. And so we've really had to navigate that. And then, when it rains, it pours, right? And so we've been working through our dog, who is an English bulldog. He's 9 years old, is going through a bunch of neurological testing, and we still don't have any answers for some of the episodes and behaviors that he's displaying all of the sudden. And he's a family member of ours. We've had him from a pup, and it's just so devastating and hard to watch. Maybe this is just aging. This is what it is, and it's just hard to watch your first baby. So it's been a week, to say the least. And what's interesting is I was reflecting on just this time because I'm like, man, this has been more stressful than I thought it was going to be. And you reasonably try to keep things together. And this doesn't mean that when times are tough, you tuck your feelings away. It doesn't mean you can't cry or, feel sorry for yourself. But on the flip side, it's how you continue to move forward in these moments in time. And these moments can absolutely paralyze you. I know for a moment, I definitely felt that feeling. And I want to speak into this because have you ever gone down a health and weight loss journey, yet all these things in your life just keep coming at you, and it's like you don't feel like you can come up for air, and anything you do doesn't produce the desired result? I'm sure nobody listening has ever felt that. And so what I want to speak into is why things feel hard and what can we do about it. So in this transaction of selling a property, I have never actually sold a property. I've only purchased properties. And so this is a new rodeo for us. We are representing ourselves, but we have a very fantastic attorney that's been advising and guiding and reading over purchase agreements and everything. But this hasn't been a new space for me. And there are certain languages, there's certain documents, there's certain things that I needed to have in order to push the transaction forward. And it's been a learning curve. Now, what's interesting is it's felt hard for me. And I was like, man, this transaction is to be easy and it's all coming together. And it is, but there have been moments where it's felt hard. And the reason it's felt hard is I didn't know what I didn't know. Now, on the flip side, the gentleman who is purchasing our building is actually in the mortgage industry. And this has been a very easy, normal, everyday process. And he's just uber excited. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, he's got it all together. What's my problem? But he knows the industry inside and out. This is no different than when you're on a weight loss journey and you're like, man, I don't know if I need to count macros. I don't know if I need to focus on protein. My friend's doing this diet. Maybe I should do that diet. My friend's doing this workout program. Maybe I should do a workout program. And we don't know what we don't know. And so this journey can be hard. This is why it's very, very important to, number one, get the knowledge. What I had to do in this transaction is I had to get on the phone with the title company and I just said, hey, I have actually never sold a property. I've only purchased properties and I'm going to need a little bit of help. And she was uber annoyed and I killed her with kindness and we became BFFs by the end. And so it was for her, again, normal everyday language. Why don't you know what you're doing? But when I could use a little bit of humor, a little bit of empathy and love goes a long way. And, it all works itself out. And you just have to ask enough questions. That is one thing that I will tell you. When stuff feels hard, we typically need to ask more questions. It's knowing what questions to ask. It's maybe sometimes saying, hey, what do I not know that I need to know? And then seeking the proper support. When we're in the weight loss journey, we have to understand, okay, what are all the moving parts? And we have to compartmentalize. Okay, just because life is going sideways over here, I can still take care of myself because it's actually not taking a whole lot more of my life. It just feels like it is because maybe the scale's not reflecting. We're maybe wanting to eat our emotions because that's something that we've always done. And so what we have to do is we have to understand that when things feel hard, there's typically a knowledge gap. There's typically a gap that we need to understand just a little bit more. But I'm also going to say, sometimes you just need to trust yourself. To trust yourself that given another day or two, things are going to work themselves out. I personally have watched this in my life multiple times when a woman is frustrated with her lack of weight loss, let's just say. Typically, she just needs to keep doing what she's doing just a little bit longer. Or she has to be really real with herself. We can't eat the way we've been eating. We can't still have all the gimmies and the snacks and this won't be that big of a deal. Or, screw it. I had a hell of a day. I'm going to eat whatever I want, right? And so we have to really understand, are we actually making it harder? And so even for myself, I got very much in my feels going, I don't know how to do this. I've got to provide all this documentation. It was super overwhelming. It was a lot of language I didn't understand. It also was encouraging people at our current banking and lending place that, hey, you got to do your job too. And that was a part that I was like, holy moly, how many people do I need to motivate today to close the transaction? So what I'm getting at is when we feel like something is hard, maybe your career isn't going in the direction that you want it to go. Do you have all the answers? Do you understand the entire situation? When you've had an argument with your husband, for example, have you stepped back to completely understand his side? Even though we are right, let's just be real. But have we stepped back? I hope you're laughing, but have we stepped back to understand maybe I'm not seeing it from his lens of the world? Because that right there is truly everything. Our lens of the world is different for everybody. I've had different experiences. I've had different experiences. What's challenging for me could be a walk in the park. All had different things come our way. And what I want to encourage is that we do things with more grace, with more ease. And when we're always used to worst case scenario, flying off the handle, these are programs. These are things that even myself, I have had to work through because it's what I always knew. It's what was modeled. So you want to understand that when stuff feels hard, you want to go 10 more layers deep and have a better understanding of why does this feel hard? When it comes to a weight loss journey and feel like you're, spinning all the plates, there's so many things between your job or maybe your business, navigating your kids, you're navigating just finances, your family, friends, and it's like, man, I cannot do one more thing. Here's what I want to challenge you with and have you lean into and understand. We're all going to eat, okay? We all have to fuel our body. We all need to sleep. We all need to drink water, okay? And we all need to move our body. Now, a few of those you're going to do regardless. So you're going to eat, you're going to sleep eventually, and you're going to drink water. Those are kind of a foundational thing. So why not do those well, or as well as you can? See, with women, get caught up with gotta be perfect. I gotta have all my meals prepped. I gotta have all my shakes ready. I've gotta have, my shoes by the door, my gym bag packed, right? And sometimes it's a little messy. Sometimes you're going into Starbucks drive-through and you're getting the egg white bites because it's like, you know what? That's way better than the pumpkin loaf, but OMG, that pumpkin loaf is good, or whatever they have now. I don't even know what they have. But gotta figure out, how can I make this a little bit easier in this moment? 9 times out of 10, all you need to do is make a little bit better of a food choice, okay? And you may be saying, cool, Arin, easy for you to say. What do you do when you're stressed out and you're in that moment and you're in your feels? And that's where I'm going to challenge you. You've got to show up differently. You have to ask yourself, I want to become, okay, meaning the results you want on the scale, and what that person do? How would they react? I constantly have to ask myself, how would Arin at this level of business act? And I can tell you, she didn't act stressed out. She didn't not do her makeup. She didn't not do her hair. She didn't just, throw on random clothes, right? No, the Arin that I desire to be, even though she's stressed, is still going to put her makeup on, still going to take care of herself, is still going to move her body, and is still going to eat reasonably well, because that's who I am. The part that I'm really working on now is just maintaining a state of staying neutral. I'm not high, I'm not low. Doesn't mean that we don't have feelings, doesn't mean that I didn't have a good cry when, the doctor said or the vet said they needed to keep our dog overnight. I was like, wait, what? I didn't even know that was a thing, P.S. So clearly I have not had issues with dogs. And I was like, oh, you keep a dog overnight? That's cool. Why? So what we want to do is we want to understand how in control we can stay. When everything feels like it's spiraling out of control, what can you do to stay in control? When it comes to business can feel very foreign to one person, and to another person who's maybe a little more seasoned. It's like, well, duh, that's part of doing business. And I remember some of those situations early on in business where I was like, they can't do this, or this can't happen. And it's like, hey, this is part of doing business. And I was like, whoa, I had no idea until I experienced this. So I know I'm probably calling out the obvious here, but why make life harder than it should be? There's really no point. There's no purpose behind making it harder. There's no purpose behind, this is always an interesting trait that I personally don't care for, is when people want to stir the pot. Those people, they just love drama. They love, did you hear so-and-so? Like, I can't hardly handle this stuff, but there's people like that, and they can get under our skin. There's been a gentleman that's wanted to buy our building for a very, very long time, and he keeps lowballing us to the point where I just started ignoring him. And it wasn't good for my mental capacity because I thought, oh, he would buy our building. Well, he's lowballing and hoping to get us in desperation, or I don't even know. He's just kind of weird, to be completely honest. But he's messed with me from a mental standpoint. And I'm like, why are you giving him the control? And so I've had to really understand that when I didn't respond to him, when I didn't answer the phone calls or the voicemails, and I just ignored him, I was in control. Anytime I would engage with him, then he got the control back. It's a very interesting, and trust me, I felt terrible about not responding. But on the flip side, it's like, what was the purpose? What would the purpose be to respond? He's not going to buy the building for the actual dollar amount that we desired and got. So don't mess with him. Get him out of your life. And so I share this with you because what's hanging out in your peripheral that doesn't need to be hard, okay? Sometimes we can just cut things off. And I'm a huge fan of pruning a vine. When you prune your vine, you allow for new growth. For some women out there, you have got yourself so maxed out. You've got so many things on your plate that you can't even come up to breathe. And guess what? That's on. I have been there. I have been there where I had to prune the vine. And it was probably one of my hardest things. But I'll tell you what, once I got my time back and I got me back, I am very selfish with my time. Not very many people get a whole lot of it outside of my family right now. And it's okay. That's what I'm choosing to do. And I'm not missing out on any opportunities by not focusing on myself and my family. It's important to understand that when things feel hard, you can step back, float above, and you can start pinpointing and going, man, okay, in that moment, I just didn't know what I didn't know. And now that I know, okay, reasonably speaking, I can navigate it. It might still suck, and that's okay. But what do you not know about the situation that when you know it, put your mind at ease? Think about that in weight loss. If you've been going at this, it's not happening. What do you not know that you need to know? Where do you need to get really, really real with yourself and say, hey, girl, we can't keep doing these same patterns. They're getting you the same result. It's called insanity. Okay, that's why it doesn't feel good. And this is where you can lean on a coach, lean on someone who has been down this road, has done it enough times that maybe they can pinpoint it for you, but you got to do your part too. Got to meet halfway. So let's evaluate what's hard in your life. What feels hard? What's not going exactly the way you want? And then here's the best part. I want you to take out a piece of paper, a note on your phone, maybe a document in a journal or however you like to write. But I want you to design every aspect of what you want instead. So, for example, let's say your calendar is just maxed out. You have so many competing priorities. You feel like you don't have any time for yourself. Okay, what could you do that when you do it, it's going to free up some time for yourself? Now, before you go into this exercise and you all of a sudden come up with 50 reasons why you can't have what you want, you got to stop, okay? I want you to dream. When you're thinking about your business and all the different nuances of what you from your business, what you want from your business, I want you to think best case scenario. Sky is the limit. I could have anything I want. Money's not an object. People are not an object. Like there is no limiting factor. When you write down exactly what you want in your career, your business, your health, then it's just a matter of reverse engineering and making that happen. Things are not as hard as we perceive them. We just don't have the knowledge or maybe the resources lined up completely. And when we can get really clear, and notice the theme, I'm sure, of all these podcasts, is 9 times out of 10, we're experiencing struggle because we don't know what we want. We're not designing every aspect of everything that we want to occur. I should have known that, hey, there's going to be some level of, I don't really know what this is, and just to expect it, right? I think in a weight loss journey, it's okay to go, I know the scale's not going to perfectly go down all the time, but the cool thing is I'm going to learn how to navigate this so that I never have to be back here ever again. And sometimes we're harder headed than we really want or realize. I know for myself, I've definitely been in that. I professed for a couple years, I can't lose weight. My hormones are jacked. And pretty quickly I realized, like, hey girl, it's actually you jacking your hormones. So let's stop. So I hope you're laughing, not be laughing, because it hits home and I get that. So I want you to really dig into, how are we making things harder in our lives? And what can we do about it? What's the purpose of making weight loss hard? There's really no purpose other than a secondary gain, that it's something that you get attention from. It's something you talk about. I have definitely seen this in my coaching where, it's such a secondary gain to have a weight problem. It's an excuse to just say, screw it, to say, well, I've tried everything, or there's something wrong with me. Get a lot more attention when we're in devastation and despair versus, hey man, I'm losing weight and kicking names. And, people don't tend to like, oh, yay, goody for you. Like they'll kind of, sort of, but then, they're not always the happiest for you. So we have to stay true to, this is what I actually want. I'm designing and creating every aspect of my life. And things may be challenging. There may be a struggle. It may feel hard, but it doesn't have to feel that way forever. And 9 times out of 10, you just need more knowledge in order to get to the end result that you desire. So I want you to ask yourself, what's hard in your life right now? Some reflection, create what it is that you actually desire, and then let's reverse engineer how we're going to get there. You may not have the answers, and I guarantee you probably don't have the answers, and it's okay to enlist help. It's okay to ask for help and say, man, I don't know all the nuances of this, and I need some help. And if you need help from a weight loss, health and wellness perspective, I'm your girl. I gotcha. There's very specific ways that we do weight loss, and we do it in a way that this is going to be for life. It's not sexy. It's not exciting. I wish it was, but you gotta get a little dirty and you've got to be consistent. That's truly the difference between one person seeing results and another person, is truly the consistency. And we're going to have to break up with pizza and ice cream and all kinds of goodies, cookies. Man, I see this all the time. And it doesn't mean you can't have those. And it also means you could factor it in. If you are going to have a yummy treat, cool. Let's just keep the rest of the day pretty buttoned up. Let's hit our steps. And guess what? You got the room and it's all good. That's how we balance. All right, ladies. So let's dig into this. How do we make things hard in our life, and what do we want to do about it? Got this.